Around the Bead podcast, tire talk for trucking, mining, agriculture, and more. Your home for fleet solutions, aiming to inform, pioneer, and entertain the tire world in connected industries. Sponsored by East Bay Tire, keeping essential industries moving forward.
Around the Bead is back. I am Joe Pahanik. I'm here with my co-host, John Holsey. We got Mine Man Mark back in the studio. Good morning, gentlemen. Are you ready to kick the tires?
Good morning.
Absolutely. Let's get it.
Don't sound too excited. Today we're talking all about loaders, L3s, L4s, L5s. We're going to highlight L4s and L5s, and I want to talk about pressure too. Mark, where do you want to start?
The basics. Let's get into mounting procedures and air pressure.
So if you were to look at a loader application, a customer comes out and says, "Hey, I need some direction on what I'm going to put on this machine." Where you walk onto that facility, where do you start?
First thing I would do is look at the application. Look at severity. What's the machine going to be doing? What's the ground level look like? And bucket size and commodity that's at hand.
So when you say ground level, walk me through that. How is that going to affect a tire decision?
Well, if you're working on concrete versus an open pit mine,
okay,
you're going to have different ground structure that you're going to be working on and maneuvering on.
So you would lean with a harder surface. You would lean towards what?
Well, there again, it doesn't necessarily coincide that easily,
right?
Because it can be a hard surface, but if you've got a long haul, you can't go into, let's say, an L5, for example,
okay,
which a lot of people like on a hard surface application.
So for our audience, tell them what a L5 is.
L5 is the tread depth, basically. It has 2.5 times the tread depth of a typical L3.
So it's the deepest tread you can get.
Yes.
Okay. And so if I'm a mine manager, I'm looking at the spend. Maybe I want the deepest tread. I say, Mark, I want the most tread I can get. I don't want to have to change these tires.
It doesn't work that way.
You know we're going to grind you all day on this, right?
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. You can get the deeper tread. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to last longer.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to look at the commodity that it's carrying, the load that it's carrying, the miles in an hour that vehicle is traveling. So you may want an L5, but an L5 may just build up too much heat. Maybe it won't run.
So you talking about load, does an L5 carry more than an L3 in the same size?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
L5 has a smaller air chamber. So even in the data books, you could run a little bit more air pressure to carry a higher load, but not necessarily across the board. It's not a standard.
So you say a smaller air chamber, the same size tire with more tread. The tread is basically taking up more of the air chamber.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So a L3 can technically carry more if it really wanted to?
No, not necessarily. Okay. It's all relevant to load, speed, and air pressure.
So if you started at a L5, my manager says, "Hey, I want the deepest tread." Where do you start saying, "Nope, you're going too fast. It's too long of a haul. There's too much heat buildup. You need to start looking at L4, L3."
Typically, anything that exceeds 3 or 3.5 miles in a given hour, I'm going to start backing down to an L4, L3 compound.
That's both in speed and actual distance covered?
No, it's the amount of ground covered in an hour. You can run 20 mile an hour, but you can only do it for a very short period of time.
Oh, interesting.
So it can't exceed 3 miles in an hour or 3.5 miles in an hour.
I always under the impression you start getting to 4 or 5 miles an hour, you're going to start seeing issues with that tire. But you're just saying from a coverage standpoint, if I'm literally moving 3.5 miles in an hour or less, I'm okay. But anything beyond that, yeah.
If you run 10 mile an hour, 20 mile an hour, whatever, and you get to your 3 miles and you stop and let the vehicle sit, you're okay. But you can't go past that 3.5 miles. You gotta let the tire cool.
How long are you talking? How long you have to have it sit?
Depends on how hot it got. There again, it's 3.5 miles in a given hour. So if you do your 3.5 miles in 15 minutes, and you got to sit for 45.
So if I'm understanding this right, if they're going 5 miles an hour on average, that 3.5 miles is going to take an hour and a half to do it. Say it takes them an hour and a half. But if they're doing 20 miles an hour at 3.5 miles, that's going to go pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
That L5 will still hold up for them 3.5 miles an hour if they're consistently doing 20 miles an hour?
As long as they stop it after 3.5 miles.
Okay.
That's I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Me neither.
Yeah. So you could run, if you had hypothetically, if you had a loader that needed to run short spurts, hey, I need to carry this load from here to here, and I want to go 10 miles an hour, I can, as long as it's a short spurt, and then you got cool down.
Yes. Yep.
Does load have anything to do with the distance?
Yes.
Okay. How does that play a part?
Well, obviously, you're going to have air pressure relevant to the load that it's carrying. So if you've got a load and the air pressure is minimal and you're exceeding that 3.5 miles, that tire is going to heat up very quickly.
Okay. You talked about the tread depth taking up some of the chamber space where the air goes in.
Mm-hmm.
What about the sidewall on the bead? Generally beefier on an L5 than an L3?
A little bit, yep.
Yeah.
Yep, you'll see some. It's not as substantial as you might think, like the tread face is.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll typically see a little beefier.
So I always think of going L5 and going down. Would you think of it going the other way, starting at an L3 and then moving up to an L4 and an L5 as you see appropriate?
Tough decision. It's all done based on the data that we can collect.
Mm-hmm.
There just is no normal.
Right.
I can walk into a place and everybody will tell me, well, it's an L5 application. Well, I may not see it that way.
Right.
Without collecting the data, without doing the site severity and seeing what that vehicle is actually doing, it's hard to make a determination until you have that.
Okay, so if you're the OE spec, you wouldn't necessarily say drop an L3 in there and then we'll figure it out.
No, I mean, even OE spec, you've got to have an idea what that vehicle is going to be doing.
So let's say I'm stubborn. Not that I know anybody who's stubborn.
Not you.
Let's say I'm like, no, we're just going to run an L5. Thanks, Mark. I want the deepest tread on this. I don't want to have to deal with tires. How fast could that tire potentially fail or start to fail if I'm in the wrong application, if I'm going 5 miles an hour?
A couple hundred hours.
Couple hundred hours.
Yeah.
That fast.
I've seen 500 hours wipe out a set of L5s.
How big? What size?
45, 65, 45s.
That's a $80,000 mistake?
90?
Yeah,
Maybe 100 in certain times of the
$100,000. They're 25 to 30,000 a piece, and wipe out 4 of those. Yeah.
So the advent of the L4 is it because of situations like that? I mean, an L4 is still a 45, 65, 45. That's a 992 tire, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's very few people who even make that, but there's plenty of people who make an L5. Is it because of those failures you think that the L4 is getting more popular, more people are making it?
I don't know how to really answer that. I think it's just getting people are more aware that you can get an L4 that will last just as long as an L5 with the right application, right air pressure. Just because it has more tread does not necessarily correlate to longer hours of operation.
So if we move to L4s, L5 sounds like it's a pretty limited space. It's 3 to 3.5 miles an hour, done over with. It's shorter hauls for the most part. And L4, how big is that bandwidth?
That can vary depending on the commodity and air pressure, but you can go, in the middle teens and still remain cool enough, depending on the operation. But yeah, you can go to the middle teens per hour.
That seems pretty fast to me.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
That would be an extreme.
So you've mentioned commodity a couple different times. Explain to me how that makes an impact, because I just think of its weight. It doesn't, whether it's water or gold or rock, what's the difference?
Well, commodity pretty much conforms to the bucket. So if you've got an extended bucket, like I was on an operation yesterday that had extended buckets, and they were rollout buckets, but they were about 6,000 pounds was all they were carrying, 3 tons. That's relatively light, a little bit of crushed corn product or wheat product, something like that, is altogether different than hauling aggregate, for example, or wet aggregate, whether it be dry corn or dry wheat, something like that, versus wet aggregate. It makes a world of difference in how that tire performs.
You've mentioned custom buckets on this pod and a few others. How would I even recognize I'm out there assessing a mine site that it is a custom bucket?
Typically, if it's on a mine site, you're going to see it's going to be extended. You're going to notice that it's substantially bigger. The biggest thing that we see on a lot of mine sites is it'll be hardened, and they'll add structural steel to it as well as just plate steel, and then weld on it. So that adds a tremendous amount of weight on that bucket.
So you have the history of going and seeing tens of thousands of loaders in your career. Is a custom, if you're an operator, is that something you can see right away? You go, you have a custom bucket, or is that something that can be overlooked?
It can definitely be overlooked. Fortunately, I can kind of pick them out right away, but yeah, it can definitely be overlooked very quickly.
I guess where I'm going with that is if you're a new operator into a mine site, or even an experienced operator, and you're rotating equipment, is it possible that you go, well, hey, I know I can lift this, or this is what I'm carrying, and you could be overloaded quickly because you didn't know that you had a custom bucket and you're just scooping up?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. If you're a new operator, you could easily miss that.
The first thing that comes to mind for me, Mark, is you get a bucket with that they've extended to hold more capacity or lift more capacity. How does that affect air pressure? Because manufacturers generally have a spec on, between this air pressure and this air pressure, and I've seen some operations that exceed that.
Isn't the air pressure just to put the max that's on the sidewall?
Yes, sir.
and yeah, that definitely plays a part, John. Air pressure is going to be there again. It's going to be relevant to the load. You're going to have to do the math to add whatever air pressure you need to add to go above what the recommended is at the baseline. Keep in mind, all that is relevant to speed. So air pressure is important, speed's important, and the commodity being carried, the weight being carried is important. So it's kind of a combination of the three.
How do you got scales? I mean, how do you assess what's going to be the right air pressure for a loader?
Most of the modern equipment has a fleet management system that'll tell you what that bucket is picking up. So, you can go and you can ask the operator to run in, grab a load, pick it up, and you'll see the weight capacity that it's got right then and there.
In the cab?
Yeah.
So it's showing what's being carried.
Yes.
Right. And then you're going to adjust the air pressure based off of that.
Yes.
Okay. Front to rears. I mean, that's something that we've heard in the industry for a long time. Max out the fronts, bring the rears down, 10, 20 PSI. Where do you start on that?
So that's when we look at the total weight of the vehicle and what it's carrying, laden versus unladen. That's kind of a tricky one. For the most part, you can take the dry weight of the vehicle and correlate that to the rear air pressure. And then the front is systematically going to be relevant to what it's carrying, the load and weight.
You were in Arizona last week, right?
Yes.
So when you're in these environments, and this isn't something that I grew up in. I grew up in a pretty consistent temp zone. We're all in California today. But you go to Arizona, you go to Nevada, you go to Texas, where it could be 40 degrees during the wintertime, and it could be 110 degrees during the summertime. We talk a lot about that in ag, but how does that play a role in air pressures on loaders at a mine site?
Well, anytime you have ambient air pressure change, you could have air pressure change inside the chamber. So it's important to look at it every single day, as well as the run times. A lot of the new equipment out there and a lot of the new technology is looking at inside running temperature. That's crucial on a lot of equipment nowadays.
What kind of technology? You're talking about pressure sensors?
There's pressure sensors and interior monitors that will give you inside running temperature.
I would think if you're looking at a whole fleet of equipment, I mean, how realistic is that? I mean, how many maintenance managers are going, well, my tire guy said this is the pressure in the front and this is the pressure in the rear, and you run that all year round.
How realistic is it that they change the air pressure at different
times a year? Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that they necessarily need to do that. I think you can run the same air pressure year round.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just about checking it first thing in the morning, no matter what the temp is.
Right. I'm more worried. I'm more worried about internal temperature than I am ambient air temperature.
And if you were to set it and forget it, how much is that pressure going to change over the course of a week or a month?
Well, without valve caps, it can do it by the hour. If it's sealed up correctly, ambient air temperature with minimal change, it'll hold for 2 weeks, without major concerns. But typically, we try to check it every single day, every shift.
Hey, Mark, besides the heat buildup, we all know that's a huge issue with tires coming off prematurely. What are some of the other issues on a load and carry application could low air pressure cause?
Well, you'll see a lot of wear components on the wheels. We'll definitely start to see structural failure on wheel components. You could see indexing. That's quite common, especially on low air pressure.
Explain for everybody what's indexing.
Indexing is when the wheel spins inside the tire. The tire stays stationary and the wheel spins inside of it. Yes.
And that's caused by what?
Can be low air pressure if there's not enough pressure holding it out against the wheel. Mm-hmm. And with the high torque of the new equipment, you could definitely see an index situation.
So what's happened is they dig into that pile where they need that torque and that air pressure is not set right. It's going to spin that wheel inside the tire.
Absolutely.
Which could cause bead issues.
Bead issues. You could have a possible blowout failure, catastrophic failure. There again, wheel components being worn out.
What wheel components? And how would you look at it? How would you know if the wheel components wore out?
Typically, you're going to see the bead flange area. There's gauges out there. It's called a go, no-go gauge. And it's real simple. You just, when you've got it apart, you put the gauge on, and if it's in spec, it's good to go. If it's not, you move on
That's once the tire's taken apart.
once the tire's taken apart.
So that's something you'd recommend to a maintenance manager, a fleet manager, mine manager, that their tire tech has a go, no-go gauge.
Yes.
What would you guess? I mean, it's, we've heard more about wheels in the last few years than ever, especially on 992s. How often do you think they're actually inspected properly during a tire change?
Mark doesn't want to throw anybody under the bus.
Well, I think you're going to find that's a training opportunity for most techs out there. Some guys are doing a fantastic job, other guys not as much. That being said, there's lots of room for improvement in the industry.
Yeah. Well, it's not that big of a deal, right? It's not like it's a safety issue.
It's a huge safety issue. It's a huge safety issue.
So how do you easily check if you're indexing? I mean, indexing seems to be a relatively sizable problem. It's hard to see though, right? Unless you're sitting there watching it. How would a maintenance manager or even an operator check to see whether he's indexing?
It's very simple. You just take a piece of chalk, draw a line across your wheel halfway up the tire, and watch it for an hour, 2 hours.
So going to L3s, I mean, what are some of the things that are going to trigger you towards that shallower tread where you can go faster?
Well, ground conditions would be one.
What ground conditions?
If it's typically an L3 will give you a little bit more traction in a muddy situation. For example, if you're in a soup/mud situation, an L3 typically will do a little bit better job. And then if it's a speed situation, you're definitely going to be looking at an L3, depending on the length of the haul.
Over, we said, 15 miles an hour?
Yeah, give or take, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think those are nice, clear baselines for our audience. You got 3.5 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour. That's where you need to look at that. Those are your boundaries, so to speak. You would say, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so speed, terrain.
Terrain's always a concern. If it's got a lot of rocks in it, you could end up with a lot of rock strikes, cut separations, that kind of stuff.
That's where you go back to an L4.
You would look at possibly an L4 or an L5 in that situation. You're going to want to look at protection.
Mark, on the heat dissipation, how does that work? How much quicker does an L3 cool down than an L5, and why does it cool down so much faster?
The air chamber obviously is bigger in an L3, so that will dissipate heat a little bit better. And there's less quote unquote material. So you don't have to cool down 4 inches of rubber. You have to cool down 2 inches of rubber.
Okay. Does that go through just the tread, or does it dissipate through the sidewall also?
It'll go through the sidewall down into the bead area. It'll hold heavy in the tread area, but it'll go all the way down into the bead area.
So what's the general rule if you're running an L5 too hard and that tire heats up? How long is that equipment sitting on average?
I'd like to see it sit for 24 hours, if it exceeds the heat elements.
Wow.
A whole day.
Yeah.
Multiple shifts potentially.
Multiple shifts.
Brand-wise, are manufacturers working towards having their tires be able to cool down faster, or it potentially enhance beads to reduce indexing? You don't have to have the answer. I'm just curious.
I don't know. I mean, do I have reason to believe that they're always working on that? Absolutely. Yeah. Is there anything that's published that I'm aware of? Not right off the top of my head.
That would be something I think I would be chasing. If I'm a tire manufacturer, indexing, if I know indexing is an issue, that there's challenges related to it, hey, can I create a bead that helps prevent indexing in general?
Well, absolutely. But it's relevant to the wheel components and the air pressure. Mm-hmm. Unless you're going to actually screw the bead onto the wheel, you're going to have a possible index situation.
Yeah. I always think of it from a warranty standpoint. Someone says, hey, this tire was terrible. They look at the brand on the sidewall. They say it's because of that. Tire manufacturer, the wheel components are relatively static. the air pressure is up to the tire dealer, the whoever's maintaining that asset. But if I'm looking at my brand, I'm going, how do I make that bead to prevent indexing?
I'm sure they're looking into it. I don't know of anything off the top of my head that's published that they're moving forward with.
We got to get some measurements. I want to measure the beads on same size tire, L4, L5, L3.
Yeah.
See the differences.
Yep.
So you were, give us a case study here. I mean, you were at a commodities yard. You said a corn feed recently.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
So we had a couple failures at that facility, and so they wanted to do a site severity to see why they had the failures. And so we went in and we did like I said, a site severity. We checked the speeds and the air pressures, and basically found that for the commodity that they're carrying, the speed that they were going, they were just a little bit underinflated.
By how much?
About 15%.
That doesn't sound like a lot.
And it's a lot. It's a lot quick. It doesn't seem like a lot, but you're talking, 7, 8, 9, 10 pounds, 12 pounds is a lot fast.
What size loaders?
Those were 65 Hitachi 65s. So 8-yard buckets, 9-yard buckets.
And then what kind of tire? What was actually happening with the tire that was failing?
They were bead outs.
Bead outs?
Yeah.
What's a bead out?
Where they actually fail at the bead area, heat-related failure at the bead area.
Above the bead, at the actual bead, you have to see it when you take the wheel off. How did they know?
Well, the one actually failed while the bucket was up in the air, so he knew right away.
Like the bead blew out?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah. Catastrophic failure could have been much more devastating, but fortunately it wasn't. And the other one was you could see it beat out right over the wheel.
Oh, blew out over the wheel.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So that destroyed the wheel components also, I'm assuming?
No, no, it didn't. It didn't actually have catastrophic failure. We caught it before it was catastrophic.
Was that an L5 application?
No, that was an L3 application.
An L3.
Did you replace the wheel components?
We are going to.
Yeah.
That was the recommendation.
Mm-hmm. Is there any reason why you wouldn't?
Short-sighted. A lot of people look at it as an expense rather than an investment, and so some people will look at the expense of it. But at the end of the day, it should be done.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you couldn't. I mean, John knows the story of I had a tire blow up on me many years ago, and it was run out on a wheel. You see that right away. If you have a catastrophic failure, I mean, you are assuming that you had the wrong application, wrong tire, but at the end of the day, anything could have happened in there. You might as well replace the wheel components while you're there. It just seems like too risky.
Yeah.
How often does, I'm assuming, wheel components normal wear and tear item? And I think that's the misconception is a lot of people they think it's either damaged or something happened to it. But we know that it's a normal wear and tear item. How often should wheel components be replaced? Is there a certain set timeline, like, hey, every third set of tires we should replace wheel components, or?
There's nothing written as a plan in the United States. I recommend at least every other tire at the longest stretch. But industry-wide, other countries, you have to position that wheel to come off and be tested at 10,000 hours.
By like a third party?
Yes.
Really?
You have to yank it off at 10,000 hours.
Yep, and it has to be. They have a static test that they put on it.
Yeah.
Run some electricity through it, check it for cracks, that kind of thing, and then put it back into business.
Australia, Europe?
Australia, I think Canada is working on a similar. European, I don't know what their market is, but Australia, I think it's 10,000 hours.
That makes sense with the huge amount of mining they do,
Yeah.
ultra class.
Yep.
Yeah. What else you do this month?
Gonna do some haul truck stuff. Kind of excited about that. It's always a good time.
I've only seen pictures. I've never seen one in person, but there are L4s and L5s going on some haul trucks, articulated dump.
Yeah, there are some.
I mean, what applications are those where you're using that? I've always thought of an L3 or maybe one of these higher faster speed L4s that are out there.
Well, hopefully they're not using an L4 or an L5. Hopefully they're using an E4 or an E5.
Yeah.
Something that's could be dual rated, dual marked. But E4s they do a great job. Articulated dump trucks running the higher speeds up to 29, 30 mile an hour, 31 mile an hour. The E4s do a really good job. There's no reason to really be concerned about that.
How fast?
30, 31.
On an E4
Yeah.
for articulated dump.
Yep.
So that's a huge difference when we're talking about loaders versus articulated dumps.
Yes. Yep.
I've seen some pictures of an L5. What would you run an L5 on articulated dump
Well,
or when?
I guess that would be a specific site, low speed, level ground probably, maybe hauling on a commodity, maybe, I don't know. I would have a issue with L5s on them.
I'll pull
Bad sales guy.
Yeah.
You know what? It might have just been OE pictures. I saw it on in a Komatsu catalog, and I saw it in a Volvo catalog, right, for their articulated dump. And it could just have been an OE fitment that they
Let's hope
put
that
on
was
there.
AI who put that picture together.
No, it was in their catalog.
Yeah, wow.
Well, if you were working at like a steel mill
Yeah.
where you were hauling a commodity over concrete area,
Okay.
and it was a short run and on and on and on, you could get away with it. There are applications where it could work, but be very limited.
Okay, so this is a good question. What's an application that you put in an L3 or an L4 or L5 that you wouldn't normally think of?
Rephrase the question.
So we're building some standards here on where you would put each tire. You're saying hypothetically it'd be rare that you could put an L5 on an articulated dump. What's a rare scenario where you put something in like that?
Any place where you would have a puncture situation where maybe you were like scrap steel, something like that, where you wanted the extra protection of an L5, especially in the face area, but it was slow, could possibly be a heavy haul, but short distance, very slow again. So there's situations where it would go.
Okay, and you've put them in that?
No. In that situation, I would probably go to a solid.
Really?
And if the L5 was capable of doing it, and I was putting it into a metal facility, I would probably look to see if I could do a solid.
It's interesting.
Why?
Because then you take away all the puncture scenario. And it's got to be slow. It's got to be slow. It's got to be the right application. But could you do it? You could.
On all 6 tires of articulated dump?
Sure.
It's interesting. Never thought of that before.
Yeah, if anybody has pictures of that, we want them in the
We
comments.
want to see it.
Yeah, I've never seen it done.
I just want to see an L5 on articulating dump working.
Yeah.
I just think, here in California, man, can you imagine that going to court and going, well, it's designated L5, not E5. You
Yeah.
lost already.
Yeah.
If something happened.
Well, the dual mark thing is always interesting to me.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 30 years ago, you had big separation on the loader side. There's more L4, L5 only, but a lot of stuff is dual mark now.
Yeah. Most of the stuff coming across is dual mark.
Have you ever seen an L5 dual marked? I don't recall ever seeing one.
That's a good point.
I don't think I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on that Volvo.
It's on that Volvo. Now I'm going to go to Volvo's website and look at this thing.
Yeah.
I got to see it.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Yeah.
If I can find it, and we can put it on the pod.
Yeah. Then I want to know who ordered that articulated dump with the L5 on it.
Maybe it was just during a shortage. Maybe they just didn't have any tires when they needed to do the photo shoot, and they needed to promo it, and maybe marketing thought it was cool.
Well, for a couple of us old guys here who remember 2003, 2004 with the global shortages.
Yeah.
I mean, I had people asking for it. I don't care if it's an L5, L3, E2. They'd buy anything they could possibly put air into to get that equipment running.
Yeah.
And it was.
Hey,
it
don't
rough
count it
times,
out.
man.
Silver and gold look pretty good right now.
Right.
You could have people starting to pan out there.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind another shortage like that, to be honest with you.
Mark, you live close to gold country almost. You could be out there panning.
I do. John and I were talking about that this morning. That at the price, I might go buy a new shovel today.
Yeah. Have you panned before?
No.
Okay.
It's a lot of hype. It's not that fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like anything else, it's a bunch of work.
Yeah, it's a bunch of work, and for what you think is gold, and it's fake gold. So yeah.
Okay. I'll add in one more. I've seen some loaders in very unique applications use LS2s, your forestry tire type tread. Have you put any of those on? Have you seen them? Where would you put that application?
So if you've got a loader, for example, that's maybe clearing out an orchard, or possibly in a logging type situation, we've put forestry tires on them.
Yeah.
And they've done well.
On multi-piece wheels?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, you don't have to change out the wheels.
You can. Some of the new places there's some new manufacturers out there that are building multi-piece wheels.
From a puncture resistant standpoint, L5, LS2, similar, or L5 much more puncture resistant? I always wondered that.
Well, some of the LS2s have steel in the tread face.
That's what I mean. You've got the Primex, the Super Primex, the Mega Super Prime. I mean, they got all these different models of it. And
they also have, the forestry tire typically has a compound that's puncture resistant. It's cut resistant. Mm-hmm. So I would put that up against any L5 in that same scenario. Yeah. Because an L5 doesn't necessarily give you puncture resistance. It just gives you more tread to go through.
I feel like this is a project for you. You've got some backcountry boys out there that could test those two things in your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
All right. What else, guys?
That's picked my brain clean today. Yeah.
All right.
Where's your next site severity?
The next one I think is going to be in Hawaii.
Hawaii. Nice. It's a good time to go to Hawaii. It's been a little cold here in California.
Yeah, I had to wear a vest for my walk this morning.
It's horrible when we wake up here in California and it's like 43, 44 degrees and we're all freezing. And
this is where everybody in Minnesota is going to hang up.
Yep.
Right.
Well, good luck in Hawaii, Mark. Yeah. We're looking forward to having you on again.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Gents, thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Around the Bead podcast, tire talk for trucking, mining, agriculture, and more. Your home for fleet solutions, aiming to inform, pioneer, and entertain the tire world and connected industries. Sponsored by East Bay Tire, keeping essential industries moving forward.